Houston trio Waterparks have been making a splash in the scene over the last few years. With their genre-bending sounds, you never know what to expect when listening to their music. Although they come from humble beginnings, the band has built up a large and devoted fan base online and have worked with some huge names in the scene. Hey guys, my name is Band Prevail, and today we're going to be discussing the band Waterparks. Without further ado, let's go back to the beginning. Before we talk about Waterparks, however, we have to discuss a band called the Blue Poptarts. This band will be the brainchild of vocalist Austin Knight. He will bring on guitarist John Roca, drummer Owen Marvin, and bassist Chris Wazell to complete the lineup for the band. They would record their first album, Electric Birthday Party, with production by a young Jonathan Cook, who would later go on to form a blossoming career with his band Forever the Sickest Kids. The Blue Poptarts would have a door of revolving members before fizzling out, and Knight would rebrand the band with a new name, Over 9000. This new band would bring a new lineup with Otto Wood replacing Owen on drums and Chris leaving the band for good. In 2010, the band would go on to play a few shows across Houston before being offered the chance to work with the band I See Stars in Detroit. Unfortunately, the decision to accept this offer would lead to the downfall of the band, as according to Austin, poor management will result in the members spending thousands of dollars for little to no return. After a miserable 2 weeks at the studio in Detroit, they would return home with nothing to show for their hard work. Their morale was at an all-time low, and their first show back would turn out to be a disaster. The aftermath of the show would see a dissatisfied Otto Wood leave the band and no longer speak to the remaining members. With John beginning plans to go to college, this will be the end of Over 9000. The collapse of his two previous bands would not dissuade Austin, however, as in 2011 he would start a new band called Waterparks. He would bring on his friend Gage Matthew to play bass, and Owen would return to play drums. The band also included Tommy Denley and Tyler Comer, who would be brought on to play guitar and keyboard respectively. However, due to creative disputes, they would both leave the band shortly after joining. The now trio would begin working on their debut EP and release a single from it titled I Was Hiding Under Your Porch Because I Love You. Another single from the project titled Silver would also be released shortly after. On April 3rd of 2012, the band released their first EP, Airplane Conversations. The project was received well in the Houston scene and opened up a few opportunities for some local shows. The band lineup would also change around this time, with the new member, Jeff Wickington, being recruited to play guitar. Gage and Owen would also be removed from the band due to personal and creative differences, with Otto Wood coming back to replace Owen on drums. They would never get a new bassist, and this would stay as the band's permanent lineup all the way to present day. The first Waterparks show would be played on August 17th of that year, and in the months that followed, they would continue to play a few shows across Texas. 2013 opened with a music video for Silver, the first music video that would feature the updated band lineup, as well as an opening spot for pop star Aaron Carter on his tour, which would lead to much exposure for the band. 2013 would also see the beginning of work on their second EP, with a new single titled New Wave being released in July. Their first Warped tour would also be played this year. Although they would only play on the Houston date of Warped, the band would go on to become staples on the tour in the years that followed. This is also the year Austin would begin changing his hair color, switching from his natural brown color to pink, then blonde, and ultimately settling on blue. In April of 2014, their second EP, Blacklight, was officially announced, and 2 months later, the second single from the project was released, titled Night Maps. The song included a feature from Fred Mascherino, former lead guitarist and vocalist in the band Taking Back Sunday. On June 4th, Blacklight was released and garnered even more buzz around the band. Although their fan base was still quite small, the band was beginning to make a splash, no pun intended, in the Texas scene, and prove that they were here to stay. The band stayed relatively quiet throughout most of 2015, as they began working on their third EP. They appeared at the Houston date of Warped Tour once again in June, as well as sending their music video for the song I'm a Natural Blue to different record labels in an attempt to get signed. This strategy would turn out to be effective, as Equal Vision Records would contact the band, and in November they were officially signed to the label. This will be accompanied by the release of a new single titled Crave, their debut release on the label. Equal Vision would help put the band in contact with no other than Benji and Joel Madden of the legendary band Good Charlotte. The Madden brothers would help produce Waterparks' next EP, as well as giving the band advice about the music industry and acting as mentors. the band would get the chance to open for Good Charlotte at their comeback show in California. This show would be huge for the band and gain them large amounts of exposure. The label would also put the band in contact with Mikey Way, bass player for another massive band, My Chemical Romance, and he would agree to play bass for all of the songs in the upcoming EP. November would turn out to be one of the best months Waterparks had seen so far. They were officially signed to a label, working with some of the biggest artists in the scene, and had a new EP set to release in January. The band's hard work was finally starting to pay off. In January of 2016, the band released their third EP, Cluster. The project was met with very positive reviews, with the lead single, Crave, being the standout track. Shortly after the release, the band would go on their first national tour, opening for a band called Never Shout Never. They would bring around their friend John Roca, who would take on the role of photographer for the band. John has continued to act as the band's photographer to this day. After the tour, they would join the 2016 Warped Tour lineup once again, this time playing every date. However, Jeff would suffer a broken hand on this tour and would be unable to finish it. Mikey Way would step in for Jeff during their performance at the Reading and Leeds Festival in August. Soon after returning from the tour, their debut album, Double Dare, would be announced, along with the release of the lead single on the record, Stupid For You. This song would turn out to be their biggest song up to that point and would be nominated for Song of the Year at the 2017 Alternative Press Music Awards. Another single, Hawaii, would be released in October, along with Royal and the final single, Gloom Boys. Double Dare was released on November 4th and was received very well by critics. It was nominated for Album of the Year at the 2017 APMAs, and many praised the album for its high energy and genre-bending sound. 2016 would end on a high note for Waterparks. With 2 successful projects and multiple tours throughout the year, the band was starting to become much more well-known within the scene. In February of the new year, the band went on a North American co-headline tour. This would be their first national headline. Throughout the next few months, they would open for All Time Low and Good Charlotte, as well as play the Slam Dunk Festival in the UK. In July, they would win the award for Best Breakthrough Artist at the 2017 APMA Awards. August would bring the announcement of the Made in America tour, a US headlining tour set to start in November. The band would also set off on their first UK headliner in September. Both of these tours would be joined by As It Is and Chapel, both great bands who I would recommend checking out in your free time. Even with all these tours, however, Waterparks would continue to work on new music, and in October their new album Entertainment would be announced, along with the single titled Blonde. Coinciding with the album, Austin would change his hair color from blue to purple, a trend which would stay prevalent in the years to come. To close out the year, they would release another single, Lucky People, leaving fans hungry for new music in the new year. Fans would be fulfilled, as in January another single titled Not Warriors would be released, and the album followed up less than 2 weeks later. Entertainment was another smash hit with fans and critics alike. Many praised Knight for his strong vocal performance, as well as the catchy and energetic beats on the album. Entertainment would peak at number 98 on the Billboard Hot 200, as well as 7th on the Billboard Alternative Albums chart. In the same month, they would get the opportunity to tour with the Maine in Australia, before headlining across Europe on the Entertainment tour in March. In June, they would join the Warped Tour roster once again for the festival's final year, as well as appearing at the Reading and Leeds Festival in the UK. In November, the band went on their Entertainment headlining tour in the US, as well as a few headlining dates in Australia to end off the year. The beginning of 2019 brought tour dates with Japanese band OK Rock in February. In March, the band would record a cover for the song Beating Heart Baby by Head Automatica in celebration of Rock Sound Magazine's 250th issue. In the same month, Austin would dye his hair red, alluding to the start of a new album era. However, this album, which would have been called Friendly Reminder, would be scrapped. Austin would tell Rock Sound Magazine that the album had too many breakup songs and he, quote, didn't want to be the cliche white dude with a guitar whining. This change in plans for the album would prompt Austin to change his hair color from red to bright green. This would not be the only change for the band, however, as in May they would leave their current label, Equal Vision Records, due to label disputes. Austin had said in interviews that he didn't feel like the label supported the band as much as they should have. They made the decision to sign with Hopeless Records and announced that their next album, Fandom, would be released on the label. Along with the announcement of the album, the band would release their first new single, Turbulent. Throughout the following months, the band would continue releasing singles from the album, such as Watch What Happens Next, a song where Austin talks about toxic fan expectations of the band, and High Definition, which Austin would cite as one of his favorite songs in their discography. On October 11th, Fandom was released. Once again, it was met with positive reviews by critics and fans. The album was praised for its lyrical content relating to toxic fan expectations of celebrities, and many critics called Fandom the band's best album to date. This would not be the only release that year, however, as in November the band released two songs, Double Dare 2019 and Entertainment 2019. These songs would be a remix of all the songs from their corresponding albums mixed into one, and was cited by the band as a way to own their own music that their old label currently owned. Unfortunately, soon after the release, they were forced to take these songs down from most streaming platforms, and now the only way to listen to them is through the band's SoundCloud or re-uploads on YouTube. To close out the year, the band would head out on the US leg of the Fandom Tour in November. January of 2020 began with a tweet Austin would live to regret. He jokingly tweeted out, quote, 20,000 retweets and I drop a new Waterparks album today. Less than 20,000 retweets and I do not drop a new Waterparks album today. Much to his disbelief, and the disbelief of his label, the tweet would actually reach 20,000 retweets, and he would be forced to release a demo album on SoundCloud. This would not be the only release of that year, however, as while touring in the UK, it was announced that one of their shows would be recorded and released as a live DVD later in the year. Their European Fandom tour would mark their last tour of the year, as like for most bands, the start of the pandemic in March would cease any further touring plans. Shortly after the pandemic, Austin would go on a break from social media, and there would be radio silence until September. He returned to social media by going live on Instagram to cut off his remaining green hair, leaving only his natural brown underneath. While he cut his hair, a new song played in the background. This song, titled Low Key as Hell, would be their first single off the new upcoming album. The band would also make the announcement that they would leave Hopeless Records and move to 300 Entertainment. This move would be huge for the band, as 300 has signed some of the biggest artists in the music industry right now, such as Megan Thee Stallion and Young Thug. Austin would also reveal the next color of his hair, a rainbow mix of red, blue, and yellow, as well as announcing the title of their next album, Greatest Hits. The name might mislead you, however, as this is not a standard Greatest Hits album. Austin has stated in interviews, though, that these are the best songs they've ever released. 2021 continued the hype for the upcoming release, with the variety of singles being released in the next few months. These singles would hammer in the fact that the band would not be confined to a single genre. Snow Globe, released in February, was a whimsical track with a heavy piano and keyboard presence, immediately followed by their next single, Numb, in March, an energetic blend of punk and rap. Greatest Hits was released on May 21st, and critics praised the album for pushing the boundaries of the scene, but some fans, however, did not like their sudden switch in sound. Austin would see his first co-producing credits on this album. It would also feature a huge range of guest artists, such as Chris Carrabba of Dashboard Confessional, Dallin Weeks, formerly of Panic at the Disco, and currently in the band I Don't Know How But They Found Me, and Mikey Way. With COVID restrictions starting to lift, the band would go on a tour in the UK in July, and play the album in full before moving to the US in October. At the time of recording this video, the band has just finished their US tour and have already hinted for plans of new songs in 2022. Throughout the years, Waterparks have proven you never know what you're going to get with their music. They can't be boxed into one genre, and all of their albums have defied the normal pop-punk sound. With one of the most devoted fan bases in the scene, and a band roster who has stayed the same since 2012, they've proven that they're here to stay for years to come. What's your favorite Waterparks song or album? Let me know in the comment section down below, and if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos uploaded weekly. This has been Band Prevail, and I'll see you guys next time.